Fauzan, is that how you say it? I want to make sure I say it right.
Yes, Fozon.
Fauzan.
I go to Valley. Yes, my name's Fozon. I am part of the Dinah High School congressional debate team, like Devarsh, and I'm from Valley View Middle School.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Is there anything specifically you're hoping to get out of camp, Fauzan? Or?
Just really some extra, just some extra certification or experience that, like, not only have I made it through the camp, but I've gained extra experience on how to properly present my ideas in a creative fashion.
Okay, sounds good. We'll definitely work on that. Athena and Rita, before we get started, if I could see a face, I like to put names with faces. That helps me out a lot. And I want to make sure I'm saying your name right. And if you have, what brings you here, what interests you, that would be really helpful for me. Oh, I can't hear you, Athena. Maybe Rita, oh, okay, Athena. We'll text back in a moment. Or chat back in a moment. That's all good. Rita, did I say your name right? Where are you from? What you hoping to get out of camp?
Yeah, my name is Rita, and I'm from Woodbury Middle School.
Okay.
Because this is my first time in debate, I just want to like gain experience and just try it out.
Mm-hmm. Now, if I may ask, you said you're in Woodbury. Will you go to Woodbury High School or will you go to Eastridge High School?
I will go to Woodbury High School.
Okay. Very, very cool. And then Athena, I see you chatted.
I'm sending Athena the other meeting info.
Oh, okay.
For phone if needed.
I'm just going to change that to here. And then boom. We'll probably wait a moment or so that Athena can hopefully be able to talk with us as well. I'll let Rebecca send that. There we go.
Okay, my right click's not working so hard at the moment, so I'm gonna try to. Athena, what is your location? The phone number depends on the location.
Do you live in Minnesota, Athena, or like in you by New York or Chicago or Minnesota? Okay. And then after Rebecca is able to send that, we will just double check if anyone's in the waiting room, and then we'll kind of go over the plan for today. So, yeah. We want to make sure everyone can participate in here, so we'll give a moment for that. That'll be good. Mm-hmm. Anyone else in the waiting room, Rebecca, or?
Nope.
Okay, well, I'll kind of get started if I can. Welcome, everyone. We are glad to have you here. The point of today is quite simply, we want to give you an overview of what Congressional Debate Camp will be like this summer. We want you to know what to expect, and we also want you to be able to kind of get a feel for some of the things we'll probably be doing over Zoom to make it happen. If I may ask, by show of hand, just like this for now is fine, have any of you ever done a debate camp before? Okay. Okay, couple, that's cool. So you probably have an idea of structuring arguments and whatnot. That's cool. We will work on, no matter where you're coming in at, we are going to work on making sure that everyone leaves as a better debater. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Ross Eichley. I am the librarian media specialist at Egan High School. I coach congressional debate there, and I coach speech here. I've been here for 5 years. The 11 years before that, I was at a different school. And then a couple years before that, I was at 2 other schools in an entirely different state. So I've been doing congressional debate for a long time. I enjoy it. It's my favorite format of debate. And it should be fun to be able to work with you. Just as some side information, I've got 2 kids. My oldest just finished his first year of college, and my youngest is a 6th grader. We have 2 pets. We have a dog, a Great Dane named Stella, and we've got a cat named Dante. And so that's just a little bit about myself. Rebecca, do you want to mention a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Rebecca Freilich. I work for the Minnesota Urban Debate League, which is the organization that runs this camp. And I actually used to do student congress back in South Dakota. It's a little bit different there. I'm from Madison, South Dakota area. And then I competed in speech and debate in college at the University of South Dakota, moved here, began coaching speech at Eastview High School, and then started coaching at the University of Minnesota's speech team. And some things about me during the quarantine, I've done a lot of bird watching because I live right next to Powderhorn Park, which I really enjoy, and also watching cooking videos, but not cooking that much myself, to be honest.
Very good. Now, we earlier went over what your names were because it's important to me to be able to say that right. I'm wondering if each of you, as you are able, would be willing to share something fun and interesting about yourselves. We know what school you're from, and you shared a little bit about what you wanted out of it, but I'm wondering if, I don't know if it worked for you to call in, Athena. If it doesn't, just type in maybe favorite food or something like that, or if you have pets or anything like that. So if possible, let's start with Rita. Rita, would you be willing to share something interesting about yourself?
So I have one brother. His name is Alvin. He's in 6th grade. And I really want a pet, but we don't have one.
What type of pet would you have?
I want a dog.
I like dogs. They're nice. I like cats too, but dogs are nice. Dogs are nice. As I see the screen, Devarsh, you're right by Rita. Would you be willing to share something kind of fun, interesting about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I don't have any pets like Rita, and I have a younger brother named Arid. He's in 2nd grade. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Fozan, you're, as I see the screen, the next one there. Something fun, interesting about you?
My favorite food is butter chicken, and I have a baby sister.
Baby, or like 1st grade, or?
Baby, 5 months old. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Are you going to end up babysitting a lot?
Yeah, fortunately, I don't get paid, so.
Very good. Athena, I don't know if it works to talk, if it works to call. If not, do you want to type something interesting about yourself, or?
I think it should work now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, awesome.
Okay. I have 2 stepbrothers and I have 2 cats.
Okay. And I didn't catch this earlier. You're from Minnesota, but where do you go to school, if you don't mind sharing?
I go to Washburn High School, South
Okay.
Minneapolis.
Yeah, very cool. Excellent. Well, good. We, so, it's important that we all kind of have an idea about each other. I want to share just a few ground rules for today. One, we are hoping for and expecting participation. Does that make sense? So there will be times when we have to talk and interact. If you have any debate experience whatsoever, you know that if you have a one-sided debate or just one person presenting, it can get old and monotonous and boring. And we don't want that. We want to have some interaction. We want everyone to leave having learned something, and we need you to help other people learn some things as well. So that should be kind of fun when we get to some activities. And then finally, if you have something to say, either raise your hand or just pop right in. We're a small group. We fit on one screen. It's easy to see each other. So that should make it good. In terms of the camp itself, the ultimate goal is for everyone to leave camp a better debater. Does that make sense? We are going to specifically focus on speaking. We want everyone to be able to leave speaking well, to be articulate, to have their ideas be clear and easy to understand. We are going to make sure that you become better at researching for speeches, but as well as to write legislation. How many of you have written legislation? I know some of you have Congress experience. Okay, one. By the time we leave camp, you're all going to become familiar and will have written legislation, which is a good thing because it helps promote debate. Everyone has a voice and everyone has things they care about. So if we can learn how to enact that through legislation, life becomes better. And then finally, we're also going to work on presiding. Have any of you presided a session before? One person. Okay. We want to make sure that even Udivarsh, who's done it before, becomes better and more comfortable with it. And those who haven't feel like that when the season starts, they can sit down and be in a good spot and take off. Any thoughts, comments, questions about that? Okay. At this point, we also, I've kind of asked, but if we could get a little bit more depth, a little more detail, that'll kind of help us out in a little bit. Are there any, besides like speaking well, are there any specific particular issues that you'd like to get out of camp? One thing that's nice about the way this camp is structured is that we're going to be able to focus in on what everyone wants and make sure that that happens. And I'm going to take some notes now. I'm going to listen, and because that'll help me as we come towards camp to be prepared for what you all want and need. Who wants to be bold and go first? Go ahead. Varsh,
Hello?
I saw you move.
Hello?
I had just asked if people would be willing to share specifically things that they're hoping to get out of camp. You had mentioned earlier speaking, but I don't know if there's anything else.
Yeah, so should I like add on to that or like,
Yes, please. Yep.
yeah,
I'm going to take notes.
yeah, I think I'd like to become more comfortable speaking in front of other people and like speaking more clearly with more intonation. And I'd also like to be able to just not like continue to keep reading off of my paper, like to move, to like look up, to make hand gestures. I think that would be something that'd be very valuable for me to learn.
Awesome. Yep. Took notes, wrote it down.
Another thing that I would really like to gain experience from in this camp would be how I would be able to research all my material if I'm able to get the correct sources. So this way you can make a good base for your debate.
Excellent. Perfect. We'll add that in there. Rita, what about you?
I just want to because I don't really feel comfortable in public speaking, so I want to gain experience on that, and also write a persuasive and strong evidence-based paper.
Yep. Awesome. Writing that down. We're definitely going to work on that. And then Athena, how about you? What are you hoping to get out of camp?
I get really heated during cross-ex debates, and I feel like I should stop that and be more informed or like less aggressive, because that's lost me a few debates.
It's okay to be passionate. We'll work on focusing that like a laser, though. So excellent, excellent. So at this point, we're going to do an activity or two, so you kind of get a feel for some of the things that we might do. So I think Rebecca is the tech expert. She's going to, in a moment, pull up a video. I have 4 short videos of Congress speeches that former students have done that they've shared with me. And in each case, there's when we go about practicing, we will usually have a student do a rough draft of a speech, and we record it and we watch it and we critique it, and then later we have them do like a second rough draft. Does that make sense? And we watch it and we critique it. So we are going to watch a 3-minute speech in just a little bit. I want you to keep in mind that it's a rough draft, but I also want you to, as we watch, think about things that, okay, what should this person do better? Does that make sense? So you get to be a judge, you get to be a critique. It should be kind of fun for you. So let's watch one of those, and then we'll talk about what could or couldn't be done better, so you kind of get a feel for how we would go about that. And then we'll watch to see if they did any better in their second draft. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think you can play it, Rebecca. Go right ahead.
Throughout history, the United States has had a pattern of abusing Puerto Ricans. We haven't given them the rights that they deserve as citizens of the United States. And today, PREPA is only continuing that pattern of abuse. Today, we have to affirm this bill to whatever PREPA something for 2 key reasons. First of all, because PREPA is costing Puerto Ricans, and second of all, because we have to avoid privatization at all costs. So first, according to The Atlantic as of January 2018, the Puerto Rican power infrastructure has lagged behind average mainland facilities by nearly 30 years since 2017, and nearly half of their electricity has come from expensive oil that has been shipped to the island. Despite this, they have experienced extreme power outages frequently. Because of this, they have experienced extreme power outages frequently. But despite this, according to NPR 2018, PREPA is $9 billion in debt, and that is a burden that has mainly rested on the shoulders of the citizens of the island. Because, as NPR continues to explain, so many of their large users receive subsidized rates, where they end up paying little to nothing. Because of this, average citizens, who are the ones that can't afford to pay their power bills, are receiving much higher rates than we are on the mainland in the United States. PREPA is failing Puerto Ricans, and we all agree that we need to do something to help this, but let's understand why privatization, like Representative Bala mentioned, isn't going to be the answer. We need to avoid privatization at all costs. According to The Hill, as of 2019, privatization is going to skyrocket power rates through the roof for ordinary citizens. The same article continues to explain that rates are going to rise 35% to 27 cents, whereas on the mainland, Americans only pay 12.9 cents. This is also going to provide incentives for these private somethings to put up barriers for residents to generate their own power. Puerto Ricans are already suffering from power outages and a lack of a sustainable system in order to continue to live on the island. But by continuing to neglect PREPA, we are essentially by continuing to neglect PREPA, we are ensuring that the pattern of abuse that the United States has seen in the past continues, which is why we affirm.
Representative for that speech of 2 minutes and 30 seconds. All questions described.
Let's stop there for a little bit. She's going to get questioned. We're not so much interested in the content of her speech. Most of you are focusing on delivery. So let's start with delivery. What are some things that we believe could and should be done better? You're the judge.
I think what could have been done better would have been the hand gestures that she used.
Okay.
I would have liked to see more.
One thing. Ooh, it seems like we lost Athena. What else? Devarsh, Rita, what are things that could have been better?
I feel like instead of saying like something in her speech, she could have like find a word to replace it, and then instead of just like, so then keep the speech going and then like have a strong argument.
And I think she should have added a little bit more into her intro. Like, it was kind of just like, we are failing Puerto Ricans, and then she went into her first point.
Athena, did you have any thoughts or comments about things that the speaker could have done better? We might be having tech issues with the audio again. If you if you're able to say something cool. If not, don't worry. We'll jump in. We talked a little bit about that. Now let's talk, even though I didn't ask you to take notes about it because we're just kind of freestyling here. What in terms of content was unclear? Did you not understand? And I know you don't have the legislation, but a good speaker should be able to communicate the intent of what they're talking about so that anyone can understand it. What wasn't clear to you? What could the speaker have done better?
Can I say something?
Absolutely, Athena. Go ahead.
Sorry about before, by the way, my internet cut out. The
It's all
roll
good.
has been kind of affecting that. I thought she was really clear with what she was saying, but some of the time she would say something and then she'd say, like, but with this, or like she wouldn't clarify, and it was a little confusing at times.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. What in terms of content did you not understand, did not make sense to you?
Nothing stood out, really.
Anyone have any other comments on this?
I think I understood most of her speech and like what she was talking about and like why you need to affirm.
Okay. Sounds good. Now, remember, this is a rough draft. You know, part of the way you get better at speaking is by speaking and watching yourself and critiquing yourself and then trying it again. So let's watch what we would call like a second or third draft of the speech. We'll switch out to that in just a moment. And this time as we watch, as Rebecca switches us to the full screen to the next slide to watch her like second rough draft of it, this time I want you to be doing a comparison. Does that make sense? She's practiced the speech some, but she's still working on improving it. So let's go to, yep, I think it's this one. She should be in a DePaul shirt this time.
Oh, is it one of these ones?
No, the two that are there should not be the same. Are you able to share your screen with me or not?
I am sharing with everyone. Is it
Oh,
not?
okay. Oh, I didn't even look. I thought you were the host. If I may, I'll jump to it.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to stop sharing and then you can share your screen.
Cool.
If you have it up.
It said host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
That's okay.
I'm going to make you a co-host so you can do that kind of thing.
Okay. Rebecca is a tech wizard. She's in charge of that.
Sort of. Did that work for you?
Yep, I think I'm getting there.
Okay.
Perfect. Are you, let's get to, it's going to be on this one. And I think it's in here. Are you able to see this okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Let's play this one.
Why we need to pass this legislation to fund it. Today we're going to affirm on two key reasons. First of all, because PREPA is costing Puerto Ricans, and second of all, because we need to avoid privatization at all costs. So first, let's understand how PREPA is failing Puerto Ricans and why it's costing the individual. According to The Atlantic, as of January 2018, the Puerto Rican power infrastructure is lagging behind average mainland facilities by nearly 30 years, and it has been since 2017. As a result of this, nearly half of their electricity comes from expensive oil that is being shipped to the island. The combination of this results in means that Puerto Ricans experience frequent power outages. But despite this, according to NPR as of 2018, PREPA is $9 billion in debt, and that is a burden that is mainly resting on the citizens of the island. Because, as NPR continues to explain, nearly a third of PREPA's contributors get subsidized rates, and this is mainly made up of their large users, which means that individuals on Puerto Rico are the people that are effectively bearing the cost of PREPA's inefficiency. Now, we know that PREPA is failing Puerto Ricans. Representative Bala tried to tell us that privatization is the answer to this, but let's understand why we actually need to avoid privatization at all costs. According to The Hill, as of 2019, privatization is going to shoot electricity rates through the roof for individuals. The same article continues to explain that rates are going to rise 35% to 27 cents per kilowatt, whereas on the mainland, Americans are only paying 12.9 cents per kilowatt. Additionally, privatization is going to provide incentives for private contractors to put up barriers for residents to create their own power, which means that not only are we going to continue to neglect PREPA, we're actually going to make it harder for them to survive on their own. Throughout history, the United States has neglected and abused Puerto Ricans, and PREPA is only a continuation of this pattern. By passing today's legislation to fund PREPA, we're going to see that not only we're going to start tearing out some of the corruption from PREPA from within, but we're actually going to see that we're going to avoid higher rates that they're seeing right now, which is why we affirm. History.
Alrighty, let's do this if we can. So this is a later version, and we've been focusing on speaking skills. What differences did you notice from version 1 or rough draft 1 to rough draft the next?
You can see that she's much more fluent with her speaking skills. She's much more persuasive, and she's using better transitions such as like "let's understand" or according to the Atlantic News, the New York Times. She's using better transitions, so she's just more fluent, which results in a better speech.
Okay, very good. Devarsh, I see your hand. Do you have something to add to that? Go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Fauzan. Like, yeah, what Fauzan said. She was speaking more confidently, more clearly, and she was like, she stated her sources like the what was it, NPR, and then Washington Post or something. Yeah, so I think that was it was a lot better than the first speech.
Okay, Rita or Athena, do you either of you have anything to add to it or things? Yes, go ahead, Athena. I saw your hand.
She was making an important point to her, like, speech. She paused and like make a hand gesture to really like pull your attention back to that main point if you weren't going to get anything else.
Mm-hmm. Definitely true. Definitely good work. Good work. Rita, anything else jump out at you or?
I like how this time she like listed her point, so then it was easy to understand like where she is at now. And then like what Athena said about the hand gesture and like pausing on the more important like information, so it catches our like attention.
Mm-hmm. Definitely true. Now, those two speeches did not happen on the same day. Does that make sense? From version 1, she saw it, she watched herself, she and I talked about things. Part of the reason the camera zoomed in on her eyes is one of the things she was working on was better eye contact with everyone. So from time to time, the student recording it would zoom in just so that that student, Maddie, could see where her eyes were at and what it was that she was watching, if that makes sense. So usually we break a speech apart and we look at specific things and we talk about what we can do to improve them. Does that make sense? So we kind of do that, and that's something that we'll do with each of you in camp. One of the nice things about Zoom or using this platform is like we can record speeches, watch them, break them apart, talk about specific things that you can do instead of just general things. Does that make sense? Any thoughts or questions at this time? All right. Do you want to watch another example of a student, a speech A and a speech B, or do you want to jump into a speaking activity?
I don't know. Personally, I think I'd want to watch another one, but it all depends on what the.
All right. Well, this is Congress. Everyone has a voice, so let's hear from everyone. Let's just go around the clock. Yep.
I agree with the bus. I think we should watch another video just so we can get more of a grasp, like how to fluently present your speech, because that can be somewhat of difficult for some people.
All right. Rita, Athena, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we can watch another student to see like to get better understanding of the speaking.
Sure,
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree with everyone on that.
Okay, sounds good. We'll go and we'll get another one. Here, let's go here. Yeah, I gotta move all of you. So the person that you watched was named Maddie. She made it to nationals 2 years in a row and to the state tournament this past year. She's about to graduate, and she took 4th at state this past year. So she's a pretty good speaker, but you should see that that takes a lot of time. Does that make sense? It doesn't just happen. It takes a lot of drafts and a lot of speaking and a lot of drills in between. Let's see, this is a student who graduated not this year, but last year. So this is the first version of a speech of his.
The Department of Homeland Security is often abbreviated into DHS. But I would like to present a new abbreviation program, and it's regarding today's legislation, because don't hesitate, support. It's for the reasons that today's legislation and the DHS have been misunderstood that we're negating today's legislation to dissolve the DHS. But first, something that has been lost in today's debate is the fact that the DHS hasn't worked. I'm not going to stand up here and say that the DHS is doing a great job. What I am going to stand up here and say is that we don't stats of all the problems that we've seen with the DHS and its ineffectiveness. I completely agree with you. What we have to understand is we shouldn't just blame and get rid of it. We should amend it and bring it back to what it was. Let's start with let's take Jose Alvarez, the founding member of the DHS. When he even conceded last year when he said that the DHS is in take for massive reforms. So Representative Subversal, when you told us that the DHS has failed in its job, let's understand that literally the creator of the DHS agrees with you, but that he wants reform before he wants to get rid of the DHS. But not only him, recently to Tom Ridge, the former and first Department of Homeland Security head in 2002, the year of creation, in which he outlined the mission statement, where he said the mission is to coordinate the implementation of a national strategy to secure the United States from terrorist threats. And he goes on to tell us that the office will coordinate the executive branch's efforts to detect and protect against terrorism attacks. So Representative Sandy, when you said that they're hardly finding any terrorism attacks in itself, let's understand why that is. They go on to tell us that the number one reason they're so ineffective is because the same person who's heading the Department of Homeland Security has to monitor terrorist attacks and make sure the flu epidemic doesn't get under control. So let's not end it. Let's amend it. And service back to its original goal. Because under test goal, it's not working. Let's say another thing that there's lots of today's debate is that Department of Homeland Security is changing the way it treats American children. So Representative Dickinson, when you brought up all these atrocities that have been along the border and the border crisis and all the terrible things that have been happening to children, understand that when we get rid of the DHS, we're getting rid of all the words that have been needed. So first, Vanessa Roll, MDAW, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, Kristen Nielsen, announced that the government is calling on several agencies to help border protection, implementing a better home child protection. And Representative Subversal, when you say that we're going to be harming children when the DHS is in effect, let's understand what the DHS has actually done. The DHS in recent weeks and months has actually been asking the Department of Defense and the Coastal Guard and regarding that of the hospital intakes to have more effective migrant children.
All right, I'll stop sharing in just a moment. All righty. What was done well? What could be done better? When you all talk at the same time, it's hard for me to hear. Go ahead, Devarsh, yeah.
Well, something that was really good is that he was like refuting other representative points. Like he mentioned like Subversal or something. Yeah. And he responded to her. He told her, he said like rather than like getting rid of it completely, we should like amend it and like try to make it better instead of getting rid of the entire program completely. So I think that was really good that he refuted another representative's points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
Um,
Oh, Rita, I think you muted.
Okay.
Go
Okay.
ahead. Yep.
Oh,
You muted again. Technology.
so I agree with Devar's on what he said. But I think something could be better is probably his hand gestures, because it seems to me he was repeating the same hand gestures over and over. So maybe he can change it up a little too.
Very good point. Yep. True. Fozan, Athena, do either of you have something you want to comment? Go ahead, Athena.
I thought it was really good that he didn't look at his paper too much. Like when he was making the point, he was like looking around and making sure that everyone was listening to him instead of just like keeping his head in the paper.
True. Good point. Good. Fozan, do you notice anything?
Well, I do notice that he's a really good speaker. His intro was really strong, I feel like, because it was really well connected to the topic he was speaking about.
Yeah, he was a very good speaker, and he probably more than any student I've ever had was meticulous about recording almost every draft of every speech. And he was, not that you should be critical of yourself, but he was very critical in I can do this better, I can do this better, I can do this better. And he was very good about breaking it down and taking one thing at a time, and we'd work on that. We have another draft of a later version of that speech. Let's watch this. And let's see let's see what it was that he focused on, if that makes sense. So here we go. And this was just a few minutes after he gave it. We talked through some things and re-recorded it. Let's see how it goes.
The Department of Homeland Security is often abbreviated into DHS. That would present a no abbreviation for the company and regarding today's legislation and the status quo, because don't hesitate, support. It's for the simple reason that today's debate and the status quo have been completely misunderstood, that we're negating today's legislation. So first, something that has been misunderstood about today's legislation is the fact that the Department of Homeland Security doesn't work. Not that standard areas can all agree with the Department of Homeland Security does, because I agree with you, Representative Davidson, that the Department of Homeland Security is not doing its best work. That is not a reason to be resolved. Effectively, from the American Theater on November 28, 2018, explains that since the defense is easily settled after 9/11, that it actually subversal. We told us that it hasn't been able to do its job. We'll understand that, I agree with you. But when we actually completely rid of the DFS, we close all the doors to restoring the original authority. We know who the American Theater. Think the whole thing over as how many members of the Homeland Security. Just last year, you can see that our Homeland Security is massive reform of what is at our stadium. Representative Davidson, you say that the best way to restore justice to our whole land is by abolishing the Department of Homeland Security. But that's not true. We can also look to Tom Ridge, former and first Department of Homeland Security head in 2002, when he explains that the mission is to coordinate the implementation of a national strategy to secure the United States from terrorism. And the office will coordinate these anti-criminal efforts and prepare against terrorism. Representative Subversal brought up countless examples to which they have been able to find these terrorist attacks. Let's understand why that is. The article was on intelligence. The number one reason that the Department of Homeland Security hasn't been able to find any terrorist attacks is because the same person who's the owner of terrorist against the United States is the same person who monitors our public communication knows something else. Shouldn't do his hands. We should have been independent for and impact the government
Alrighty. So that was just a few minutes after we watched the first draft, and we specifically zoned in on a couple of things. What seems to be different? What jumps out at you? Go ahead, Athena.
When he stood in the middle to like introduce it, and then when he was presenting one point, he'd go to one side, and he wouldn't move again until he was presenting the next point to let you visually know that he was moving on.
What else jumped out at people? Good. Fazan, I see. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so my comment would be that whenever there would be a very important point that he wanted to state during the speech, he would sometimes just use his pointer finger and just would use different hand gestures to demonstrate that point, or just to emphasize how important this is in order to help his speech.
Devarsh, Rita, anything jump out at you two?
Yeah, just like what Fozan said, his hand gestures changed, and when there was something important, the intonation in his voice completely changed. Like he would be speaking a little softer, and then if something was like, I forgot the example, but he would like use more intonation in his voice to show that there was a very important point.
Rita?
Yeah, I completely agree with what you guys all just said, and how when he's like trying to like point out his like what he's like when he was listing stuff, he will like pause in between the things to make sure like you're like still listening.
Yeah, when between version 1 and version 2, which was recorded 10, 15 minutes later, what we had talked about was making sure we could be as clear as possible. So in our gestures, in our placing, our movement, and then also just the clarity through the voice. We slowed down a little bit and tried to be real succinct, especially when giving sources and whatnot. So you all kind of nailed that. Very, very good. Let's do a bit of a speaking drill. How does that sound? It's a speaking / questioning drill. Seem fair? We're going to give you a little bit of time. Let's say, to be fair, no more than 3 minutes, okay? I'll set a timer. And here's what I'd like you to do. I would like you to come up with, on your own, like a topic that you care about that others should be able to listen to. Does that make sense? And I don't want you to say something like, a topic that you should care about is recycling, and be done, right? I want to hear the reasons why we should care about recycling. Does that make sense? So the topic isn't so important, but if you just say the topic and stop, not good. We want you to give some reasons why. That's the first step. So if you're ready before 3 minutes is up, awesome, good for you. If not, take like, in 3 minutes, I'm going to call us back and we'll randomly pick someone to go first if there's no volunteers. And then we'll get started with that and then the drill. So I'm setting a timer. Go.
What are we doing? Sorry, I had to go pause for a little bit.
Yep. So you have about 2.5 minutes. I want you to come up with a topic that you care about and be ready to share 3 reasons why we should care about it, why we should want to hear it, why we should want to debate it, if that makes sense.
Got it.
You've got about 1.5 minutes left, just so you're keeping track of time. You've got about 30 seconds left, so start wrapping up your thoughts. Alrighty, and we have hit 3 minutes, so let's come back. And of course, this is a rough draft. We don't expect perfection. We're more interested in the topic and your arguments. And we're going to use that first for a speaking drill and then for a bit of a questioning drill. So, Fozan, Devarsh, are you back yet? Yeah.
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, good deal. Let's, first, are there any volunteers?
I could go first.
Go for it, go for it.
All right, so right now I'm going to be, so this is one of the many bills that I've done during my Congress career in Edina High School. So this was a bill to legalize all drug use and sales, and I negated it. So hello fellow Congress members. Today I stand not to affirm this bill, but to negate it. The outcome of this bill will harshly impact American lives in 3 ways. First, it will increase the deaths rates across America. And second, it will increase the smuggling of drugs from other countries. And finally, it will impact negatively the children and youth of our generation. And they will be at an incredible risk. And for those 3 reasons, we should negate this bill. This legislation will increase death rates across the U.S.
Fozan?
Yes.
Good. We've got your 3 reasons. We don't need the whole speech because of time. The 3 reasons were perfect. Does that make sense? Hold tight there. We're going to hear everyone's topic and 3 reasons, and then we're going to, no, you did perfect. And then we're going to launch into a questioning drill. If we had time, we'd use it, but I promised I'd be done at 1. So who wants to go next? Or if not, I'll use a name generator.
You can go then.
Okay.
Okay. I think I chose to abolish the Electoral College. For one reason, it's because it should be the popular vote instead of the vote in some states. Second, because a Democrat's vote in a state like Arkansas, or a Republican's vote in a state like California is completely useless. And then my third reason is because the presidential candidates will only be campaigning in swing states.
Okay, good job. Yay, excellent. Athena, Rita, who wants to go next?
I can go.
Okay.
Okay, so today I'm going to talk about the importance of exercising, such as running. Running not only will benefit human physically, such as improving cardiovascular health, gain muscles, but running also helps elevates mood, therefore will reduce stress and increase productivity.
Okay, awesome. Athena?
The topic I chose was to address police brutality. Reason number 1 is because the police officers in Minneapolis have been very blatant and clear with the systematic racism. Reason 2 was we need to address the system because you use systematic oppression in the courts. And reason 3 was it affects everyone involved, not only people of color, but especially people of color through years of systematic oppression.
Okay, good job, everyone. Here's kind of how we're going to transform it. You've spoken it once. You're going to be able to speak again, but this time, as you speak, even though this doesn't happen, this is kind of a drill we do to help people stay focused and to keep going through things. We're going to allow the other 3 to interrupt you, to pause you, and ask a question. Does that make sense? So this means yes in my cool little world, and this means no. Does that? Okay. I got it. Yay, there we go. I love head nods. Okay, would anyone like to begin? And we're going to do this respectfully and nicely. Just raise a hand when you're ready with a question. Who would like to start? Or should we go in the order that we've already gone in? Okay, I'll use the name generator here. And let's start with Devarsh.
Okay.
What was your topic? Remind us all of that.
My topic was to abolish the Electoral College. The first reason is it should be a matter of.
Time out, Devarsh. So Athena, Rita, Fazan, if at any point you have a question for Devarsh to try throw him off topic, raise your hand and then ask. Does that make sense?
Do I answer them? Or?
You have a choice of either answering it to try make it clear so that they've got it, or to try keep going to explain. Does that make sense? It'll be chaotic at times, but that's kind of how we race through things.
Okay.
Let's try it. It's new to everyone, I know.
Okay. I think we should abolish the Electoral College because, for the first reason, it should be a matter of the popular vote, not the vote of certain states. With
Varsh, I have a question.
Yeah.
Isn't the electoral vote based on the popular vote?
Well, the electoral vote is No, the electoral vote isn't based on the popular vote. It's based on the popular vote in certain states. So if a state like Texas is primarily Republican, then the 38 or 37 electoral votes will go to the Republican candidate.
But if most of the people are Republicans in Texas, shouldn't the electoral votes go towards president?
Yes, but so that means if a Democrat in Texas will vote, that means that their vote won't be counted because the votes will go to the Republican candidate anyway. The second reason, just like that, my second reason is because a Democrat's vote in a primarily Republican state or Republicans vote in a primarily Democratic state won't count. And my third reason is because
Devarsh, if their votes won't count, why do they vote then?
that is why I believe we should abolish the Electoral College, because then with people will feel more motivated to go out and vote because they believe that their vote will count.
But do Democrats vote in Texas?
So at the moment,
do Democrats vote in Texas?
I'm not some do, some don't. I'm not.
Well, if they do, then what you're saying might not be true.
Well, in states like Texas, I don't really have.
Okay, time out. Good job. Do you kind of get the nature of this drill? This is what it would be like for everyone. Does that make sense? Only you would all get to ask questions.
Okay.
Good job, Devarsh, by the way. You had an answer every time. Okay, we have about 5 minutes left, okay? I want to answer any questions that you have and then share contact information because, I was asked and I promised that we'd be done so that people could go back to their day at 1 o'clock. But how are you feeling? What are you thinking? What questions do you have? Go ahead, Fazan.
I just think this day was really productive for me. Not only that, but it really helped answer some of my questions on how to improve my own debate. And those videos that you showed us were definitely helpful. Now it gives me more confidence that I can deliver more, not only confident, but deliver better speeches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, during camp, you're going to give speeches. We'll record them, we'll break them down, and we'll also do other drills. We kind of got started on this one, but it's going to make everyone more confident. Everyone will be a better speaker. Everyone will become a better debater. Athena, you had your hand up. What you got?
Is it only Congress debate, or are we going to be looking at policy too?
In the Congress camp, we just look at Congress. There's a policy camp that also happens. I don't have the schedule in front of me. I believe it's possible to do policy and Congress, but the schedule is not in front of me, so I shouldn't say much more than that.
It is possible, Athena, and there will be a policy preview day, but because of the nature of the topic, criminal justice, they decided to move it a week further in advance to prepare for the discussion better. Mm-hmm. So that information will get sent out soon.
Mm-hmm. Rita, Devarsh, do either of you have any questions or thoughts or comments?
No, I don't have any questions.
Hey, you did a great job answering questions, by the way. I tried real hard to interrupt you and you
Yeah,
kept
thank you.
going, so good work.
Let's just put my video down.
All right, before you take off, Rebecca has put my email address into the chat if you want to write that down or something. It could be that in a day you may have a question and you're wondering how to get in touch with me. Feel free to send me an email and I'll gladly answer it about camp. We want everyone to have a great experience, and we're designing it so that we help everyone get better at specifically what they want to focus on. So should be a great time. Thanks for being here. If you want to take off, feel free to do so. Oh, go ahead, Devarsh, you have a question.
Do you have another Zoom meeting like this tomorrow? Or?
We won't have another meeting like this tomorrow. This is just kind of so people